EC2 instance, how to customize the EC2 instance, and how to assign an elastic IP address, add additional network cards, create an image for our EC2 instance, and how to distribute it to other people, the image, so that they can reuse our pre-configured images. So this way we can learn how to customize our operating system and distribute our customized secure operating system or Amazon machine image to people outside our organization or to the general public. So there are a lot of other features in EC2 like auto scaling. We will look at that later. For now, we will learn how to start one instance and how to scale it up to many instances with the same Amazon machine images. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm in my Amazon dashboard. If you have not logged into your dashboard, and click on the EC2. If you don't know where is the link, it is usually here. Or if you still not able to find it, use the search button at the top, search bar at the top. You should be able to find it quickly. So just go ahead and click on EC2. For today's demo, I'm going to use intermittently both Amazon Linux and Red Hat Linux, whichever is convenient for that particular piece. There's not much of a difference. It is just that one of the images comes pre-configured with the certain packages and makes it easier and make it quicker to understand things. So the next step is there are a lot of things in the Amazon dashboard. We are going to focus on the instances for now. There are other instances like Spot, Reserved, and Dedicated. When you are talking about cost management of EC2 instances, then we will find out what is the difference between each of them and how you can manage your cost by using some of these instances. So for now, remember that we are going to launch a on-demand instance, because in other words, I need an instance right now and I am going to start it. So on demand, if you need 10, you go ahead and start 10 at that point of time without any pre-booking or reservations or having it dedicated to you. So what we are going to start right now is an on-demand instance. Let me go ahead and click on launch instance, and let us choose Red Hat for now. Click on Red Hat. So before we go ahead and choose Red Hat, this is one I think I wanted to show you. There are a lot of pre-configured and images that are available in the marketplace that you can pay for and use it. For example, if we click on the AWS marketplace, you will find a lot of firewalls, a lot of pre-configured items. For example, here is a quick snapshot of a NetApp ONTAP cloud, that is a storage on cloud, which is available for $0.75 per hour. And you also have a yearly savings if you pay for one time. Like that, you have a lot of software. If you just scroll down, you will have plenty of things. And if you're not able to find it here, you can find the groupings here, say for example database and caching or testing, e-commerce, all those things. And in case if you have a specific software in mind and expecting it to be found in the marketplace, go ahead and search using the search bar there. For example, let us say a very simple one I'm just using. I'm not Drupal is a content management system. A lot of people use this. So just search for Drupal there, and you should be able to find some instances which are pre-configured with Drupal here. And Bitnami is one of the famous companies which is providing a pre-configured software, and most of their software is free for use. But if you want to have a support from them, then very much like Red Hat, they expect you to buy the premium support pricing. So this is how you buy an Amazon Marketplace image. Buy, or in the sense you start using an Amazon Marketplace image. Some of them are free, as you might note them. See, for example, this one is $0.00 per hour, whereas the ONTAP one that we saw was a few dollars priced. And there is something called community AMIs. That is nothing but people like you and me who use Amazon and want to share their images, or some researchers sharing their images so the general public can leverage the best optimized configurations. So those kind of images will be available under community AMIs. And then there is another segment called my AMIs. If I am creating an AMI in my account which is private, or nobody else will be able to see that, that will be visible here. And if I have many images, I can search them as well. And likewise, there are other filters on the left hand side, whether I want a 32-bit architecture or 64-bit. And remember the instance store that we spoke about when we were talking about storage volumes. So if you choose this option, let me just go to marketplace and see if I have an instance store option. No, probably in community AMI I have that. Yeah, In community AMI, I have some images which is available in Instant Store, and if I filter it based on Instant Store, those images will come. And remember that any data that you store here and not copy it to a EBS volume will be lost when you are done with the image itself. But if you want a high performance machine or high IO, burst IO load, then go ahead and choose an Instant Store. But this is where one of the places where you can start your machine with a Instant Store boot volume or root device type. So for our demo, let us go ahead and click on the quick start. You can find the Red Hat in the marketplace also, but quick start makes it easier to find the things where most commonly used items are listed by Amazon. And I'm going to continue with the Red Hat. And this is the page where you choose the different instance types. For example, if you click on the top filter by instance types, it gives me the 4 commonly grouped items, that is general purpose, that is M series, and compute optimized is C series, memory optimized is R series, and storage is, I forgot, this is D2 series, D2 and I series. So if I just go ahead and click on general purpose, all T2 and M series should apply here if you scroll down. And then if you want, for some reason, if you want some older generation of CPUs, that is C4, T2 and M4 is some current series of general purpose, but for some reason if you want older generation or all generation of CPUs, because your application is tied to a particular CPU architecture, then you can go ahead and click on all generations here. And if Amazon is still providing those old generation CPU architecture, you will be able to find it here. But you will get clearly notification saying what is available and what is not available. Based on that, you should be able to choose the right one for your case. For example, I see here I have selected T2 2x large, and Amazon gives a brief description of what is that image, how much CPU I'm getting, how much memory I'm getting. For example, for our demo case, let us go ahead and click on T2 micro, and automatically the description will change saying that I will be getting one virtual CPU, that is 2.5 gigahertz of RAM, processor speed, and about 1 GB of RAM, and it is available as EBS root volume only. So if you just scroll down, you can find the different CPU architecture and memory architecture, and you can choose whichever you want when you're designing a production systems. And there is no restriction on which one you have to choose. For example, M4 large that you can see here at the bottom is having about 64 CPUs and about 256 GB of RAM. Whereas the biggest one, the storage optimized, I think is, let me go to all instances. So it will be easy for me to find. The X1 instances are really big. I'm just searching for the X1, and you can see here the X1 instance is about 128 core and about close to 2 terabytes of RAM. That is 1952 GB of RAM is available for those two machines. So you get the flexibility of whichever server you want to choose. So for our demos, we can choose a basic one. And this is all that we need to learn. On this page, click on next configure instance details. In this page, the next page, that is configuring instance details, we are going to choose the network related information, whether the number of instances I want to launch. For example, I am going to give us 1 for our demo. If you want 10, which is of similar configuration, you can just enter the number as 10 here. There is absolutely nobody stopping you from doing that. And this is the place where you launch a fleet of instances. When I say fleet, you can choose as many as the number. You can choose to launch more than one at a time. That is what as it says. So as it says, the purchase option, we will look at the spot instances, meaning these are all low priced but unstable instances. Amazon, because it is low priced, there is a bidding war going on. If somebody says that I want to pay $10 for a machine and somebody says I will pay $9, Amazon will give you about 30 seconds to 1 minute notice period, and then remove the instance from your account and provide it to the highest bidder, not the least bidder, I'm sorry, highest bidder. So spot instances is based on the amount of money you want to pay for an instance, but more on that when you are dealing with purchase options. For now, we'll go to the network. Since we have not seen the VPCs, leave it as default. It is nothing but where is your IP address coming from, which availability zone the IP address is coming from. That is what the VPC is going to decide. And all the security groups assigned to that VPC will be available for our server also. For now in Mumbai region, we have 2 availability zones, 1A and 1B. For now, let me start one server in 1A now. And Do I want a public IP address? Yes, I would like to have a public IP address so that I can connect to my server when it is up and running. And do I want an IAM role? Yes, I would like to have an IAM role. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to click on create new role here, and it will take me to an IAM role page. I'm going to quickly create an IAM role so that I can access my S3 buckets from my server. So remember the previous time when we did it, we went ahead and attached an IAM role on a running server. Now we are going to attach a role while we are starting the server itself. So I'm going to click on create new role. I'm going to choose the EC2 service as my service role, and then I'm going to type S3 so that we can find the S3 read-only policy or S3 full access for now, and then click on next. And I'm going to say EC2 full access S3 for Galaxy EC2 demo. I have given a very descriptive name. You can choose whatever you like. Go ahead and click on create. So my role is created and necessary permissions are done. So I'm going to go back to my EC2 console now and click on this refresh button, which is there next to the IAM role. Once I see, as of now, there is only one role is listed. And if I click on refresh, I should be able to see the new role that we just now created. You can see here, there is a EC2 full access demo role is available. So click on that. And this is a very important thing that quite often gets asked in an interview or an exam, or sometimes customers say that I want to protect my instance from accidental shutdown. So when somewhere, do you want to terminate your instance when you are initiating a stop itself? So if you want to terminate it, there is no stop option. You directly stop the server. That means that instead of keeping it in a stopped state, directly you will terminate the instance. All your configurations will be lost. So you choose the shutdown behavior of your server. Either it can be done from a console or it can be terminated from your operating system itself. You run commands like init6, then your termination will initiate it. And do you want to protect from termination? That is the next option. Let us just keep it as stop itself. Let us not terminate it. Keep it as stop. And do you want accidental protection? Then say, for example, a junior resource is having access to your console and comes ahead and tries to terminate that machine. Do you want to protect it against those kind of actions? Then you just put a tick mark here. Then that option will be by default disabled. So there is an additional step that person has to perform to shut down the server. And monitoring, let us not enable detailed monitoring for now. We will get we don't need more than a minute level monitoring. So as of now you will get 1 minute level monitoring. That is more than enough to monitor our servers. If you want to less than have 1 minute level monitoring, then we have to enable this and leave this as a default tenancy. If you want a dedicated server for yourself, say for example you don't want to share the hardware with some other virtual machine or some other client, then you go and buy a dedicated instance or a dedicated host. That is another hardware that is disabled for me because it requires a prepayment and information. You need to sign a contract with Microsoft. I'm sorry, AWS, saying that you want this dedicated host, and then you want it for certain amount of time, and they will provision that hardware for you, and it will be available for you to use. Then you can choose this option. Until then, it will not be activated, and by default, everything will be shared, and everything other than shared will be having a premium price to it. So let us leave it as shared. We don't have to choose anything, and leave the IP address also. Let it get auto assigned. Let Amazon manage the IP address details. And you have a field called advanced details here at the bottom left of the screen. If I go ahead and click on that, you will have a field called user data. Remember, I was talking about bootstrapping the server. Quite often people use the same term, bootstrapping. So you need to remember that and use that in the appropriate context. When I say bootstrapping, it is nothing but running some scripts or installing some packages or installing some software during boot time itself. So that activity is called bootstrapping. In other words, you are just strap on something while the boot sequence itself. So in our case, what we are going to do is we are going to install a web server while the server is starting itself. I'm just going to type bin bash. So I'm just starting a bash shell, and then I'm going to say m-y install httpd, and then I'm going to say systemctl enable httpd. That means whenever my server reboots, automatically start the httpd service, and for this time start the httpd, because after installation I need to start it, whereas the previous command enable httpd ensures that whenever the server is rebooting, it starts at the boot time itself. And I'm going to finally add one more page for our index page, that is the welcome page. I'm going to say something like welcome to Galaxy EC2 demo, blah blah. You can type in, you can start writing anything here. I mean, you can not necessary to write, start an HTML HTTPD server. You can start some other server, or you can start some other configuration. You might add additional network. You can attach a mount volume. You can take your company's default storage and mount it to your server. All those things are possible by using this text field, or you can give it as a file also, or you can give it as in base64 encoded. Nothing but all the special characters will be encoded in a format that Amazon understands very clearly. So those are the three options that you are available, that you have it here. Especially there is a space limitation. If you have a problem with the space limitation, then you put everything in a file and use this option as a file. One, most probably you want to provide S3 access or some kind of access so that this file will be picked up. For simpler demos, let us type in the commands here itself. We have only 4 commands, and put it here and then click on add storage. That is the next step. Moving forward, by default Amazon adds a root volume, and you can see here my default volume is not encrypted, and delete on termination for the disk is enabled. So whenever I delete my server, the attached EBS volume also gets deleted, so that we don't have additional cost incurred to it. And you can see here this is a text box field. If I say I want to add 15 GB, all I will do is just change this to 15 GB, and Amazon will allocate 15 GB of storage to me. And if you want additional volume to the server, just go ahead and click on this, and your additional volume will be created automatically. And here also you get the flexibility. You can quickly go ahead and change the provisioned IOPS volumes also, and you can choose the appropriate IO that you need for your provisioned IOPS, and it allows you to choose that as well. So you can go ahead and dynamically attach storage. It is not necessary you have to attach it in the EBS volume and then find the instance and attach it. While booting the server itself, you can do that. So to keep things simple, let us go with the defaults and click on next. And next stage is adding tags. Almost always add tags so that you know what your server is, what it is running, and then we can go ahead and stop it if it is not needed. And you can see here this tag will get automatically attached to not only my instance, my EBS volumes that are attached to my instance also will get this tag. If I remove this, my EBS volumes will not have this tag. So let us have everything tagged with the same name so that we know that which storage is attached to which server, and we can easily find out things. Finally, security group. We have seen some introductions before. If you don't have any security group, let Amazon create a new security group using this option, create new security group. Since I have many already, I'm going to choose an existing one. So click on the existing one. It will by default list you the security group that is available to you. I'm going to select the one that is already available, and here it will show you the ports that are allowed by default, not by default, that are configured in this security group. So I have, in addition to, usually by default this one only available. In addition to that, I have added port 8000, port 22, and port 80 in my security group, and I have enabled internet access for all these ports. Not really very secure, but I'm doing a lot of demos, and for demo purposes this is good enough. But in production or a customer environment, you will specify the particular IP address, probably not for port 80 because you want the internet traffic to flow through, but definitely for port 22 you will allow the specific incoming IP address, say for example the admin machine's outgoing IP address or your jump server's IP address. So this is customizable. When we are seeing the VPCs in depth, we can customize it. For now, leave it as internet traffic enabled. Go ahead and click on review and launch. So Amazon gives a nice little summary of all the things that we have chosen so far, and in this page you get the list of all those things. And in the beginning you can see here the nice little warning in the orange color that you say your security group default is open to the world. So please restrict it and then do the necessary security options. If you want to go ahead and click on edit security group and do that. Otherwise, you can just have a look here. And in case after coming to this page, you find that no, I don't want this, I want to change it. You have an edit option on the right hand side for almost all the context that is available here. You can click on it and say, I want to add one more tag to my group of servers. So then what I do is I just go ahead and click on edit tags. I can say here name, and then I'm just going to type as environment, and then I'm going to say this is test. So my new tag is added and I want to go back to the last page immediately. So click on this review and launch button. Again, I come back to the last page where I can review all the details and click on finally launch. This is the most important thing. For new accounts, you will not have any key. So what you do is you choose when you click on launch, you will get a new window for selecting existing key or creating a new key. So for new accounts, go ahead and click on the create new key pair. So once you do that, Amazon will ask you the name of the key that you want to download that and keep it very secure, because that is how you will be able to access your account. And so it does not do much details. So let me just choose an existing key pair because I already have one. I don't want multiple ones. So go ahead and create it and save it, and you will be able to choose that from the drop down the name and then select this saying that I acknowledge I have access, and then click on launch instance. It is going to take a minute or less than a minute, and then Amazon comes back and says your instances are now launching. To view the log, you can click on this one and it will say the initial launch sequence is complete. There are some post launch checks are going on. So to find out more about that instance, click on this instance ID. It will take you to the dashboard where you can see here it is in pending state. If you remember the life cycle states we talked about, when you start an instance, it is in pending. From here, it will be started, available. Those states it will reach, and it is doing the initializing checks. You can see the status checks here. And if I pull up my bottom dashboard, there are status checks here. This is very important. There are two types of checks Amazon performs here. One is called system status checks. Another one is called instance status checks. So this is the underlying hardware. The system status checks is the underlying hardware that everything Amazon performs. Amazon makes sure that everything that is under ownership of Amazon is being taken care of, the hardware part. And when you're talking about instance status checks, it is morely related to your network and software configurations, which is on top of the instance. So there are sometimes interview questions or exam questions or trick questions based on this: what is system status checks and why is instance status checks? And then you can see here it is initializing here in the top. It will come of something like a 2 of 2 successful. After some time, we will see that once the status checks are completed, that means that both these checks, that is, this is the first one, system status check, and the second one, instance status checks, both are completed and both are successful. Then you will get something like 2 of 2 successful. And if you want to see the performance of your machine, that is CPU and network and disk performance, so you click on monitoring. You will come and see here there is a detailed enable detailed monitoring. Since we did not enable detailed monitoring, only basic monitoring is available, and this is the default option. And there is an interview question here as well, or exam question here as well. What is detailed monitoring? What is basic monitoring? So if you want a sub 1 minute level monitoring, then you need to enable this one. So when we look at monitoring, we will see into those details. So for now, you have all these kind of graphs automatically generated for you by Amazon, this network in, network out, and all those things. So our instance is still it is in running state, and then some still checks are going on, and it is still happening. Meanwhile, let us go ahead and check out the tags that we added. Let us see if it is available or not. You can see here both the tags that I created is available. There is a Galaxy EC2 demo server 01 and the environment is test is available. And by default, whenever you give a name tag, automatically Amazon picks up the name tag and puts it in this column, which is the name. So it is very easy to identify the servers by the names that we are providing to them. So that is all there to it, and the general summary of your instance is available here. That is in the description field, and here you get the IP address, that is a public IP address, private IP address, and how many interfaces are there. And you can see here whether the termination protection is true. See here we set the termination protection. That means that nobody can shut down the server. Yeah. Nobody can shut down the server without the two-step that is needed here. And then the key pair that we chose to use for the server, and who is the owner of the server, what is the AMI ID that we used, and type of the server is here, that is T2 micro, and availability zone. All kinds of details are here. If you want to have a quick snapshot of what is your server and what details it has, this is the place that you are going to check. So finally it is completed. I can show you here that see there, that is 2 of 2 checks have been passed. So let us go ahead and connect to our server, or before that, if everything has worked perfectly, if we copy paste this public IP address and put it in our browser, we should be able to see our welcome page, because remember we set up an HTTP server and bootstrapped it using the advanced data field, and you should be able to see the server running an HTTP server already there and we can access it through our browser. Now that our server is running, our HTTP server is running, all is good. Let us just go ahead and check some of the interesting options that might be necessary. So on the left hand side of your dashboard, you have your key pairs. In case you want to have additional keys and you want to generate them outside of your EC2 launch sequence, come here and click on this create a new pair option and create as number of keys as you want. Or if you have an account, for example, companies sometimes want to use the same key that they use on premises for some reason. Then you can use this import key pair. That is, you need to import your public key and then keep your private key safe so that it will connect to your server. And there are something called network interfaces. As of now, our server has only one network interface. And if you want to attach an additional network interface, you come here, create a network interface like this, and then say something like Galaxy EC2 demo for network interface. And then I remember I created the server in 1A if I'm not wrong, and I'm going to choose as 1A only. I just want to quickly confirm that so that we don't make a mistake of creating a network instance in a different subnet and have a problem of not attaching it. So I am my server is in availability zone 1A, so I'm going to choose the, is it reflecting for you guys? Not yet. So I'm here, I'm just saying my subnet is in this availability zone 1A. I'm going to choose the subnet in 1A only. So choose 1A, great, and auto assign the public IP address, assign the default security group, click on create, and it takes about a few seconds to create. And you can see here the pre-existing network interface is already attached to this instance ID that is here, and it says as in use, whereas the next one is available, the one that we created, as you can see from the description field here. So what I'm going to do that is select this guy, select that network interface, click on actions, or you can do attach as well. Either way, you can here also you can do attach. Either way it will work. And then when you click on attach, it asks you the instance ID. As of now, I have only one instance running. I'm going to click on that attach and then click on attach. So now you can see here the instance ID for both the servers are same. And if you go to my dashboard, let me go to my dashboard, and then you can see here where is the primary network interface, and there is only one private IP address 172 series. Let me go ahead and refresh the screen and see what happens. Oh, I am still in network interfaces. I'm sorry. I wanted to go to my EC2 dashboard. Okay, I am in EC2 dashboard. I am having only one private IP address. So let us go ahead and hit refresh and see what happens. Oh my God, I'm still in my EC2 dashboard. Let me go to instances. Strange. Okay. Okay. It has already taken effect. There is no need for us to refresh it. You can see here there are two IP addresses already assigned to us from. You can see here 25.24 and 31.38. If I go to my network instance dashboard here, I can show you the IP addresses as well here. See here there are two IP addresses, that is private is 24 and then 31.38. Both the IP addresses one coming from the new instance that we created, that is Galaxy EC2 network instance. It provides the 31.38 IP address. So this is how you attach additional interfaces, and which has say for example different kind of security group policies and those kind of things. So that is another thing that I wanted to show. Now one more thing I wanted to show is we want to create an AMI ID now. So that is an AMI ID is created. Before creating an AMI ID, I want to copy some more images and some more data to my server so that it works smoothly when we create an AMI ID. And if any of you have an account, I would really like you to go to the launch instance page so that you can find search for my AMI ID and launch it yourselves. So meanwhile, let me just go ahead and copy some data to my server. So now I've copied some data to my bucket. I'm just going to copy that information from my bucket to my server now. Let me just, looks like, okay, AWS S3 LS. So the bucket that I'm created just now for this purpose is this one. So let me just going to pick up some AWS S3 CP, that is source bucket, that is source, and then I'm going to give the destination as well. I'm in the temp folder, so we will probably have to move the image to the destination folder as well. This is the bucket name, and the image ID is, I think, waterdrop.jpg. I don't remember it. Let me just go ahead and quickly get that. So I think it is water-drop.jpg, and then let me just put it in temp only. So you see here that is successfully downloaded. Do an ls-lrt to confirm that it is there. I'm going to move this file to /var/www/html/images. So if I go to this folder, we should be able to see our image now. If I can go to my browser now and check out the URL, that the IP address I gave you, and refresh it, we should be able to pick up the image. If you are not picking up the image, let us go ahead and refresh the HTTP server so that it knows that some additional details have come in. Systemctl star restart HTTPD. That takes a while, shouldn't? Okay. Guys, can you refresh it and let me know if it is picking up? Okay, for some reason I might have made a mistake. Let me just quickly go ahead and check. For creating an AMI image, you select the server which is already running or pre-configured. It can be stopped state or anything, and click on action. Under action, you will have image, and then you can click on create image. So once you create an image, what happens is you have this AMIs here automatically, and AMI will be created. Before I click on that button, let me just go ahead and quickly show you that nothing is there as of now. You can see here, this is my AMI dashboard, and there is nothing in my dashboard. Just click on refresh, nothing happens here. So come back to a EC2 instance, select our instance, and then click on image, click on create image, and then it is asking me some information. So I've just given some friendly name, and it is asking me, do I want to reboot my instance to take a snapshot or create an image? I'm going to leave that as it is. If you click on this, if you click on this, there won't be a reboot. If you don't do that, it will be rebooted. So I'm going to keep it online and then click on create snapshot. And remember that my EBS volume is 15 GB. If you remember, when I started the server, I just changed the number from 10 to 15, and automatically Amazon created a 15 GB volume. So my AMI also is going to be 15 GB now. So click on create, and it says view pending image ID, blah blah blah, and go to my AMI snapshot. So I'm going to close this window, go to my AMI dashboard, that is on the next tab, and go and click and refresh. It takes a while for it to start reflecting here. It takes a minute or so that the machine will come up here. So that is how you create a machine image, and once it comes the machine image, let us start another instance with this instance as the base image, or with this AMI as the base image, and our web server should be pre-configured, and you should have a pre-configured web server to access in your environment. Our system or our demo is very simple, but when you have something, a complicated application, and you want to give a pre-configured application to your clients, it makes it very simple, because you have installed the application, configured it, and all the steps are ready, and all they have to do is boot that instance in their environment and start using it right away after connecting to the database or something. So it saves a lot of time in terms of deploying new environments, this AMI IDs or golden images. Now you can see, guys, the AMI is created and it is actually available for ready for use, and you can see here the visibility is private and status is available, and you can see all the details about the AMI, and it has already finished creating. If I go and click on tags, as of now there are no tags here, only the AMI name that we created. Just let me go ahead and quickly create a tag so that let me just do a proper tag, Galaxy AMI demo, and then click on save. This way I can keep track of my AMIs as well, so I don't have to really find out the description field or AMI field. So what I can do is, now we have a AMI ready. I'm going to click on permissions here, and I'm going to click on edit here, and when I click on edit and it is asking me whether this image is public or private, I'm going to click on public here. So what happens is, as of now this image was only in my account. Only I can launch an instance based on this image. So the moment I make it public, it will be available in the community images, and anybody should be able to launch an image. So that way, see here, the image is currently public. So if you can also search for this AMI ID in your account, you should be able to find this AMI ID and then launch servers based on this AMI ID, and that is definitely possible. So it still says as private. Let me just go ahead and hit refresh and see what is the status. Visibility, it will take an effect. It should take some effect definitely, because here it is saying this image is currently public, so it will take into effect after the Amazon does all the replication and everything. So meanwhile, let us go ahead and start an instance based on this image. I'm going to click on actions, and I'm going to click on launch here. So once I click on launch, it goes to my network field because it is pre-configured here. And then let me just go ahead and use the T2 micro itself, configure instance details. I'm going to put it in 1B now, the server, and I'm going to add the role as well. I'm going to add the public IP as well. And if I go to advanced fields, I'm going to choose the advanced details, that is on the bottom, and the image ID. You guys, it's pretty slow. I don't understand. Okay, I don't understand why it is not, but it should have the HTTP server running. Let me not do anything here. Just let me go ahead and launch it. I'll come back to that. Add storage. Let me leave it as it is. Next tags. Go to security group, click on existing security group. I'm just putting everything in the same security group. That should not be a problem. And then launch. Use the same keypad. Click on launch instances and go to our instance dashboard. So there are two servers on my dashboard. One that is running from the previous time from which we took a snapshot, that was running in 1A region, and we created another server from AMI that is in this region. So let me just click on this one that is in availability zone 1B, and it has a public IP address. Let me just copy it and keep it ready and put it in the chat window. And once it is up and running, we should be able to access the browser and then put it here. If it might take a while for the server to come online, and if it is online, we should be able to access the web server as well. So you can see here I have pre-configured a server with web server configurations. This is how most applications also get configured and distributed to the clients in a pre-configured way, saving time for them as well. So this is coming from my image that was created. So if I go to my original server, that also should have, that is having a different IP address. If you notice, that is having 13.165. It is not the same one. These two things are different. You can see the IP address difference here. This is a different IP address, and this one is a different IP address, and both are running the same content. This is the basic of EC2. We created a server, we attached network interfaces, we created a web server, we created an image out of that web server, we distributed to the public, and we launched another server also from the AMI ID. So the next step is the advanced configuration of auto scaling, that is launching more than one server and ensuring that Amazon automatically scales your server and scales down your server. So we will see that later. For now, we will close off here with this one.